Hey guys, what's going on? It's CruZzAve here and I welcome each and every one of you to a brand new video for the guide. And today we're going to be talking about the basics of dribbling, because in the guide we don't only want to talk about the advanced stuff, the complicated techniques, we want to show you everything from the start, from the basics over the advanced concepts all the way up to the professional level play. So today we're going to have a look at the fundamentals of dribbling, the important concepts that you need to understand in order to bring your dribbling to a good level. So when it comes to dribbling in FIFA, there are so many options that you have, so many moves that you can do, but they all depend on two central concepts. The first one is ball contacts. Now this one is probably the most central concept in FIFA in general, because it applies to every part of the game. If it's passing, shooting, defending, it doesn't matter, but of course for dribbling it's extremely vital. For every dribbling move that you want to do with your player, if it's turning around, protecting the ball, getting away from a defender, juking a tackling, it doesn't matter, for every move you have to have a ball contact. If the ball is laying away from your player, then he first has to run there, and you can press the left stick all you want, you can try to play a pass, it doesn't matter, your player won't do it until he reaches the ball and he has his next touch to actually perform the thing that you put in on the controller. The other important concept is physical momentum, and for this one as well as for the ball contacts we will have dedicated tutorial videos explaining everything about it in detail, so check the description below guys to see if those videos are already released. And when it comes to the physical momentum, you have to keep in mind guys that depending on how fast you're moving, in which direction you're moving, your player will have a physical momentum into that direction, and that will have an impact when you're trying to turn around and change the direction of your player. Now with those two concepts in mind, let's take a look at what changing direction with your player actually depends on. As we've already established, you can only turn if you have a ball contact. So the faster you're moving, the further the ball contacts will be away from each other. If you're moving slowly and dribbling with the ball close to your feet, you will have a lot of ball contacts, a lot of control over your player, and you can change direction quickly. If we take a look at this scene with Bernard here, for example, he's getting the ball on the left side and then is trying to run down the left wing. Fabinho is approaching, and by the time that it's clear that Fabinho will challenge the ball, since Bernard is sprinting, the ball is so far away from him that he can't reach it in time to turn to the left and try to protect the ball, and the ball is lost in the end, since the ball contacts were too far from each other and there was too much space, too much time for the opponent to get in for a tackling. The same applies in this scene, more in the center of the pitch. There is some space, so the opponent tries to use that by moving forward in full sprint, but since the ball contacts are so far away from each other and it takes so long for the midfielder to reach the ball again and then change the direction, there is a long period of time in which you can select the defender and go for the ball and take a successful tackling. Now in this scene in comparison, Mbappé is moving more slowly because he's normally dribbling, but therefore the ball is a lot closer to his feet and he has a lot more ball contacts, and therefore the opponent never really has a time window to actually go for a tackling, because Mbappé is changing the direction so many times and leaving the opponent unsure where he's actually going, and that leads to a good chance in the end. Here we have another example how close ball control can help you to not lose possession easily. First some sprinting with Agüero, but as soon as the defender comes close, we slow it down, we keep the ball close to our feet and dribble with normal left stick dribbling, then pass it on. And especially in the end with Gomez, you can see that the ball is laying open and the opponent tries to go for a tackling, but since the ball contacts are close to each other, we are able to reach the ball before him and push it to the side, and then he fouls us, so we get a free kick in a dangerous position. The other important thing to understand is that the angle in which you're changing direction and your player's speed will decide how smoothly your player is turning around and how quick he will perform the change of direction. Once again, keeping the ball close to your feet will give you more control, so it's easier to turn around and you can even perform 180-degree turns smoothly. It gets harder if your player is also moving with very high speed, as Mbappé in this example. The direction he's facing is towards the corner flag and the opponent is trying to turn around and cut inside almost 180 degrees, and therefore the turn is very slow. Mbappé is almost losing his balance, the ball is laying open for a long time, it takes him a lot of time to get to the ball for the next touch, so the defender can easily get the ball. So you should keep in mind that the bigger the change of direction, the harder it gets for your player, and you should only perform those 90 to 180 degree turns if you have a lot of ball control. If the ball is close to your feet, then they're not as big of a problem, but if you're in full sprint and you have a very high physical momentum, then try to make a few smaller changes of direction in a 45-degree angle, for example. Then your player can keep his speed, he will get to the ball much more quickly, and it's harder for the opponent to defend. Also, if you can't continue sprinting because there are just too many opponents or you're cornered in one side, then just let go of sprint, make a few small touches to change direction. Don't change direction in too big of an angle immediately, a few small touches in a half circle maybe, and then you can turn around by that and play the ball back to your defender, for example. Of course, also the player stats have an important impact on how quickly you can turn and dribble and do all that fun stuff. With Mertens, for example, who has a very high agility, high balance, high dribbling stats, you can do a lot of cool things and you can turn around very quickly. If you have your center back like Cellini, for example, you should be very careful not to dribble for too long because you will get into uncomfortable situations. We've already talked about the impact of sprint on dribbling and the ball control, but of course sprinting is a very important part of FIFA, but we advise you to use it carefully. Always make sure when using it that there's enough space to get at least one more ball contact, so to reach the ball before the defender can reach it, so that you can always react to what your opponent is doing and try to, for example, juke the tackling. As you can see in this example, I'm using some space in the midfield with Modric, and then when the opponent selects his center back, I still have another ball contact to change direction and get away from the tackling, and then play the through ball to Griezmann to get a penalty and a red card in the end. Here I get the ball for a counter attack, first with Agüero and then I pass it on to Lacazette, and I'm using sprint to see if I maybe can create some space, but as soon as I realize that the defender is catching up and I will most likely lose the ball if I continue running, I let go of sprint, I take a few smaller touches and then turn around to pass it to my right back and keep ball possession. Another thing you can do in order to get some more control over your sprinting is to use the analog sprint. This one you can turn on in the controller settings, and it actually allows you to decide yourself how fast you want to sprint and how far the ball should be away from your feet. By pressing in the right trigger only half, your player will not sprint as quickly, but also the ball will still be closer to his feet. So you can go kind of a middle way between full sprint and dribbling normally, so not giving up on too much pace, but not on too much ball control either, and this is very useful in some midfield situations when there's a bit of space to use and you want to sprint but not make it as easy for the opponent to find a moment to tackle the ball from you. The L1 dribbling is another modifier similar to sprinting. You just hold L1 or LB while dribbling, and for this one your player will keep the ball extremely close to his feet. He will move very slowly, but therefore you have the highest ball control and you can turn very quickly, and we will have a dedicated tutorial video about this one as well, of course, for the guide. To sum up all these different concepts and factors and techniques, the most important is that you always consider the situation. In tight situations, when there's a defender close by or you're even surrounded by multiple opponents, then you most likely want to keep the ball close to your feet. You want to have a lot of ball control, a lot of ball contact, so that you're always able to react to what the defender is doing. If he tries to go for a tackling, you can quickly turn around, you can juke the tackling or protect the ball and he will foul you maybe, or you can play a pass, so at all times keep the ball close. And if there's a lot of space on the wing or in the center of the pitch and you want to push forward quickly, then of course you sprint, and you can sprint as long as there's no defender close by who can challenge you with a tackling or by push and pull. And then when you get into a more tighter situation again, then you can go from there, let go of sprint and see what to do next. It really all comes down to finding the right balance. In this example, first some normal dribbling with the center back to keep the ball close and not risk losing it, and then with the right back I'm not sprinting either because I see the defender is approaching and I'm turning around kind of in a circle to keep the ball protected at all times. With Modric it's similar, and then I pass the ball on to Mahrez, and with him I'm using some L1 dribbling for a quick turn, then one ball contact of sprinting, but not more because I see that the defender is coming from behind and they catch up a lot of times in FIFA 19, so I pass the ball on after that, and again I juke the defender with some small ball contacts and then one sprint ball contact, playing the pass, getting a bit lucky in the end, but I can score the goal. That's it for this tutorial video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it and it helped you out. If that's the case, please leave a like and also share it with your friends. That would be massively appreciated. Also, if you have any questions, then just drop them in the comment section down below. And if you're interested in coaching from Elite 1 and Top 100 players, then check the eye in the top right corner or the link in the description. There will be more information for you. Also, subscribe to the guide if you don't want to miss any other tutorial videos. I'll better talk to you in the next one. See you then, much love, peace.